Welcome to our journey into the fascinating world of genetics. Let's talk about genetics, which is basically the study of how traits get passed down from parents to their kids. It's like a biological blueprint that makes you who you are. This passing down is called heredity. It's the reason you might have your mum's eyes or your dad's hair color. These traits, like your eye color or whether you're a lefty or a righty, are determined by your genes. Genes are like tiny instruction manuals inside your cells. They carry the information that determines everything from your height to your ability to roll your tongue. They're what make you, you. Each person's genetic code is unique, making us all wonderfully different. Each gene has different versions, a bit like different flavors of ice cream. These versions are called alleles. Alleles can be thought of as different recipes for the same dish, giving us variety in traits. Some alleles are dominant, meaning they're strong and show their effect even if there's only one copy. Dominant alleles are like the main ingredient in a recipe. Others are recessive, a bit shy, and only show up if there are two copies. Recessive alleles are like a subtle spice that only stands out when used in larger amounts. We use capital letters for dominant alleles, like T for tall, to make it easy to identify them, and lowercase letters for recessive ones, like lowercase t for short. This helps us understand how traits are inherited and expressed. Now, let's look at monohybrid crosses. These are fundamental concepts in genetics that help us understand how traits are passed down from one generation to the next. These crosses focus on just one trait at a time, making it easier to study the inheritance patterns. Let's use the height of a pea plant as an example. This trait can be either tall or short, and it's determined by specific alleles. A pea plant can be tall, which we represent with a T, or short, represented by a T. These letters are symbols for the alleles. If a plant has two identical alleles, like TT for tall or TT for short, it's called homozygous. This means both alleles are the same. If it has two different alleles, TT, it's heterozygous, a bit of a mix. This means one allele is for tall and the other is for short. To predict what the offspring might look like, we use a Punnett square. This tool helps us visualize the possible genetic combinations. It's like a grid that shows all the possible combinations of alleles from the parents. By filling in the Punnett square, we can see the potential outcomes. The genotypic ratio tells us the proportion of each genotype in the kids or offspring, giving us a deeper understanding of the genetic makeup. And the phenotypic ratio tells us the proportion of each trait we can actually see. This helps us predict the physical appearance of the offspring. Sometimes we can't tell an organism's genotype just by looking at it. The physical appearance, or phenotype, doesn't always reveal the genetic makeup or genotype. A tall pea plant, for example, could be both capital TT or one capital T and one lowercase t. Both genotypes result in a tall phenotype, but they are genetically different. So how do we find out? We do a test cross. This method helps us determine the unknown genotype by observing the offspring. We cross the mystery plant with a homozygous recessive individual, both lowercase tt. This way, the recessive traits will only appear if the mystery plant carries a recessive allele. If our mystery plant is both capital TT, all the offspring will be tall. This is because the dominant allele masks the recessive one. But if it's one capital T and one lowercase t, half the offspring will be tall and half will be short. This indicates the presence of both dominant and recessive alleles. It's like a little genetic detective work. By analyzing the offspring, we can uncover the hidden genetic information of the parent plant. This stuff isn't just for scientists in labs, you know. Understanding monohybrid and test crosses has heaps of real-world uses. Breeders use these concepts to develop new types of plants and animals with desired traits. Genetic counselors use them to help families understand the chances of passing on genetic conditions. Learning about genetics helps us understand the world around us, appreciate the amazing diversity of life, and make smart decisions about our health and the environment.
Want to rise to your full potential in your studies and revise like a boss? You can trust Study Guide Today to have you covered. Subscribe to this channel and see our website linked in the description of this video to see revision articles to maximize your study gains.